This is how to make a 100 dex or glaive or a sebii type beat in FL Studio using Serum. And yeah, I'm gonna play the beat for you right now.
Damn, dercept, you made this?
So basically, I started with this preset from Serum, the initial basic mini preset from Serum. If you have Serum, you have this preset. I began by just clicking in bass notes. I worked out of a D major scale on this specific beat, and I also had a 168 BPM, and I really just clicked in some bass notes to get a good rhythm. And a lot of times what I'll do, which I did here, is I'll just either have like the bass notes go up one every time, or they'll just go down one, and it's a pretty easy way to get like a cool rhythm going. And that sounded like this. After that, that was cool. I had some bass notes to work with, and if you couldn't tell, I was going for a pretty repetitive vibe already. I don't like to overcomplicate beats a lot. So I then used the same exact sound, the initial basic preset, and I added some more like mid notes, and I just made a little catchy, or what I thought was catchy, melody to that, and just copied it over, and that sounded like this. Cool. And then we almost had like a main melody going. We just needed some more high end to it because that was too low and too mid for me, especially with that specific preset. It wasn't gonna work. So I added a top melody again. Just honestly just clicking notes to the scale. Like, you'll find what sounds good. Once you already know what presets to use, it's all a matter of just clicking in notes and making a catchy melody. So clicked in some notes, copied it over, and I sort of made these ones a little bit faster than the other two patterns. And this one came out like this. Altogether, it sounded like this. Cool. And mixing wise, I believe let's see. I cut out some lows, and I then there were some frequencies in the bass to low mid range that just weren't sitting well for me, so I just subtracted them, added a destructor just to add a little bit of like distortion / like bit crush to the melody, because that's always a good thing in these sort of beats. For the reverb, I basically always just use the cathedral preset, and then from there, like, I'll adjust the wet and the early release and maybe the decay. After that, some pretty standard delay. Not much to that, and this delay isn't doing anything, so. After that, I basically just like copy and pasted the same as that original melody, but I did it on a different pattern, and this was the vendor pluck from the vendor eruption serum bank, and that came out sounding like this. pretty standard, and I literally, for the mixing, I just took the, where is it? The pluck preset in here. Use this on keys and plucks for my light year drum kit. Drop this on, just pretty standard EQ and delay and stuff. And after that, I believe I added the hi-hat next, which for the hi-hat, I did a 2-step to originally start with, and then it just sounded better for this beat on C sharp, so I moved it up to C sharp. And it was a 2-step, and then if you see here, I added little rolls, like nothing complex at all. And then I also, a lot of times, if I'm doing like a 2-step, I'll just sometimes add like bottom notes, just to like give it some like rhythm or bounce, and then I just ended them with little rolls here. Also, this is just personal preference. I just highlighted all of them and hit Alt R, and I just lowered the velocity a little bit just to give them some more bounce, I guess. Yeah, again, copy and paste over. After that, I added the gecs snare. Also, all the drums again from my light year drum kit. Just a really standard snare. This was pretty standard pattern. After that, you need a banging 808. So that's exactly what I did. I added a banging 808. This one is in my kit. It's not labeled 808-4 though, my kit. It is the Catch Me Outside 808, which this like specific one was tuned to a D sharp, so I tuned it to a D sharp, and then following the root notes, I just placed in 808s where I think they should be. Yeah, pretty standard. All that with the gecs snare came out to sound like this. All that with the gecs snare, I mean all of that. I'm stupid as hell. Cool. And then for the second half of the hook, didn't change any of the drums, just took the original melody that I had and layered it with the same melody but different sound. So, sounded like this. Pretty standard. And then from there, the only other stuff that I added was like for the beginning of the hook, I used the first melody that I made, and I added a bass, which this bass is one of my favorite basses. It's the Flareon bass from the Ghoul Generation Serum Bank. It's sort of like similar to a Reese bass, I guess. But yeah, just added that, and that sounded like this. Pretty standard, but I thought if we only kept the same melody, just two different sounds the whole time, it would be a little repetitive. I don't know. Probably just me overthinking. But I used this whisper lead from the vendor Ascension Serum Bank, and I just clicked in the bass notes, and yeah, I mean, the screen speaks for itself. I just kept copying them over, making them really, really standard. But I added a whole bunch of effects to it too. I EQ'd some low end out. take out some more low end. There's a frequency here I didn't like. Boosted some higher to mid frequencies. And then I took a lot of low end out. I slightly stereoized it using the EQ-UO. I even de-essed it. Sometimes I'll do that with like leads if the high end's pissing me off, but I don't want to like EQ it out. That's sort of like defeats the whole purpose of a lead, so a de-esser can just sometimes like bring it down. And then I just added a delay and some reverb. And I also, again, stereoized it just using the stock FL stereoized knob and twisting it to the left. And that alone sounded like this. Cool. And then what would the bass at the start of the verse be worth if I wasn't adding a 4-step kick, which this one's also on my kit, literally called the 4-step kick. And then I even added the sound from my kit, the 4-step clap. I don't really put any mixing on my drums, by the way, so if you're wondering why I'm not showing that, it's just there's no effects on them. I just leveled the volume out. But that together with the melodies sounded like this. Cool. Now basically what's left is just to show you guys the structure to it, because after this I just hooked the loop, same as that pattern, and then I did the verse a little bit different, not really, just instead of, actually no, it's not even different, all I did was take out the first half of the bass, and then I didn't put the 4-step kick or 4-step clap in the second part. And then when it drops back again into the hook over here, I had it drop. If you see here, it just drops into that other sound that I made with the same melody. So I had that happen, but then I took pattern 21, which is my first melody, and I just didn't put it at the very start, but cut it. Same with the drums. That way, it just sort of gives this effect right here. Yeah, now to describe the rest of it, at the start there's this little Barker drum loop that I have in my kit. It's the Barker drum loop, and that's pretty cool, so I dragged that in. If you don't know how to use a drum or perk loop, get the kit or just look it up. There's a test on how to use it, but yeah, put that in, and then I automated an EQ on the master. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's this one. And I just had it go from like cutting out a bunch of the high end, some of the mids, and fading it back up. And that sounds like this. And I added this little reverse crash thing from my kit. Where is it? One of these, the reverse crash. Yeah, I use that a lot, just to like use it as a riser. And I also added delay here because why did I do that? I'm not sure why. I think I added delay on, oh, it was this delay right here, just to like make it go a little more before it dropped. I don't know, really not important, but I'm extra, so. And then as the hook comes in, just added another little effect. It's the vocal riser for my kit, I believe. Sounds like this. Yep. And then to end it off, or end off the hook, I use the nice riser from the kit. just to sort of let the person know, you know, the hook's over. Pretty basic, pretty standard. I have no idea what this reverb is doing, so please ignore that. But yeah, so after that, I think all that was left was I just copy and pasted the same effects over in the same exact places they were before. I right-clicked on the master, created an automation clip in the volume knob, and just faded it out. And oh yeah, right before the second drop here, when it drops right here, I also automated another little EQ. Which one was it? I think it was this one, where I just cut out some lows and some mids, and it just sort of gave that cool effect because I only put it on the spot where there was no drums, and it gave that cool effect that you heard before. Really basic, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm just rambling on, but that was the majority of the beat. I then, you know, added my tag in, and for the master, all that I do on my masters is I add a soft clipper. I don't change anything on the soft clipper, just default settings. And then I add the parametric EQ too. And yeah, that's basically it. There's not much mixing, as you can see. I just level stuff and maybe pan some sounds, or one sound in this case, to the left or to the right. And for stereoizing, I know a lot of people like to use the Fruity Stereo Shaper, or even like the S1 Imager from Waves. I just like to use the stereo separation knob because it really just gets the job done and makes it a lot faster. And that's the majority of the beat. I mean, really, just get the jit, man. If you did think there's so many drums, it's $25, but you know, it's worth it. And guess what? If you're watching this video right now, or within 7 days this video releasing, you can use the discount code dercept wins for $10. The kit would be $10. All of this for $10. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I am, and it's a deal of a lifetime. There's hella presets, hella sounds, all the best in my opinion for hyperpop. And yeah, man, dercept wins. It's up on the screen. Probably has been up on the screen. I hope this was some help. The last thing that I forgot to say was again, for the melody, I'll just highlight the whole thing and Option or Alt R and just randomize the velocities. Aside from that, that's all I did. So yeah, man, subscribe if you want to. That'd be cool. Buy the kit. Peace.